12 scored events waiting on event 7 in the overall standings for the women. Coming into day number 3, Christy Phillips hanging on to a 4-point lead over Samantha Briggs, and then rookie Alessandra Pacelli currently sitting in 3rd. Naughty Nancy, event number 7, and it's a weird twist on a CrossFit familiar workout.
That's right. We have 4 rounds for time of a 600-meter run, which is up over the berm here at the soccer stadium. So there's a 60-foot elevation, as well as 25 overhead squats. For these ladies, it will be 95 pounds they're using for the overhead squat.
Rory McKernan is on top of that berm. Ro, what's the view like from up there?
Amazing. Naughty Nancy, perfect for this workout. Naughty for a couple of reasons. The weight has been increased on the bar. There's a choke point on the stairs that the athletes have to deal with. And Tanya, here we are on top of that 60-foot elevation gain. I'm not too proud to tell you, I'm out of breath just walking up here. So it's going to play a factor, at least for the first round. This is the walkway that these guys have to deal with. Big enough for me, maybe one other person, 2 other people. We'll see if we have some full contact CrossFit this morning.
Thanks, Ro. 19 athletes lining up in this first of 2 heats, and a couple of names in this heat surprising. First, it's Deborah Cordner-Carson in lane 13. She's an athlete who we thought would be closer to the top. She's had a disappointing start to her 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. And also Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet, who is towards the bottom of the standings. She was a woman that people were talking about as a favorite to possibly not only be on the podium, but possibly win the CrossFit Games.
Now remember, Sean, that's people talking about what they see. These women are fantastic athletes. At their affiliate, they're doing amazing things. But here at the CrossFit Games, at the Reebok CrossFit Games this year, 2013, they've brought out, there's no stops. There's been long rows, so many unpredictable elements. The pig yesterday, there's things these girls just can't train for. So this is where we really get to see the test to see who's the fittest. There's some disappointment, but right here, Sean, this is actually more of a classic, typical CrossFit workout, CrossFit style of elements that we see. So they might have a chance here to work their way back up the leaderboard.
The athletes have lined up in their rows. This is not first come, first serve when they get back from their first run. They have to always leave and return from their name, so every woman will be running the same distance. Deborah Cordner-Carson currently sitting in 26th place overall. She was a woman who last year, if you throw out Pendleton 1 and 2, had a heck of a CrossFit Games.
And you know what? I think coming into this Games, she had some expectations on herself. And I'd like to see her smile a little bit more, like to see her have a little more fun like she did last year. I'm really hoping that she gets to pull that out and show us what she really has.
The women will run straight out towards the wall there, then they make a right turn. They'll head up towards the berm, and then that's where we have that choke point at the stairs as they traverse that 60-foot incline. Event 7 underway. Naughty Nancy, the 7th of 12 scored events here at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games.
Now you're going to see some of the women right now, as you already are seeing, try to pass and get ahead of the group. It's going to be beneficial to be the first one up those stairs so you're not fighting on the stairs, because with that choke point, only one person can get up the stairs at a time.
First 600-meter run. And it's Natalie McLean out front early. And here's the choke point that Rory McKernan mentioned. Up that first set of stairs, and it's a right turn over that berm.
Now remember, Sean, it may look like she's in the lead right now, but the athletes all have the same distance back to their barbell. So it's really hard to tell. We will know once the women get back to their barbells who's truly leading. All of the women have the same distance from their barbell start for their full run, and they always have to go back to that same lane to keep it fair.
4 total rounds here of this 600-meter run. Courtney Modecki is up there as well. Ashley Caribou, Daniel Horan. There's 2010 champion Kristen Clever in the green shirt, slowly making her way up the stairs. She has that bad ankle that she's been nursing all weekend long. But it's 4 rounds of the 600-meter run and then 25 overhead squats at 95 pounds. Now, after the 4th round, this is where it could get pretty interesting. There's actually about a 50-yard sprint to the finish line.
That's going to be an exciting finish for any of these women finishing closely or even seconds apart to see what that sprint does to separate them.
Natalie McLean making her way down the stairs. McLean started in lane number 5, so she was actually pretty close to the front of the pack to start. So as Tanya mentioned, we'll see who gets back to her barbell first, and it looks like it is going to be Natalie McLean. She is well out in front here on this initial 200-meter run, or 600-meter run, pardon me.
What I love is that they're using the entire complex. We see stairs, we see the berm. It's not just a flat run. People always think, oh, it's just, we're at a stadium, it's going to be a nice little circle, it's going to be a flat surface. No way. This is the CrossFit Games. We're going to keep the elevation, keep you guessing. Stairs couldn't cause an issue if anybody has a trip up, rolled ankle. The athletes have to be smart on their run. It's not going to be the typical speeds that they're used to doing at their own boxes.
Natalie McLean is back to her lane, and she will be first to the barbell. We're past the 2.5-minute mark here in the first of 2 heats in event 7, the 7th of 12 scored events. Naughty Nancy here at the soccer stadium at the StubHub Center in Carson, California. So now it's 25 overhead squats at 95 pounds. These women are working on grass, and there is a difference between squatting on grass as opposed to squatting on a lifting platform.
Oh, absolutely. The grass, now, granted, this is a field. It is a well-groomed professional soccer field, so it is very level, very flat, but there's much difference. It's still morning dew out there, so your feet can slip, a little bit of moisture under your feet. But also, just the fact that the grass, just a little bit of give is much different than the platforms they're used to. So the stability is going to be a little bit of an issue.
So right now it's Natalie McLean in the lead with 21 of her 25 overhead squats down. She's in lane 5, so McLean wrapping up her first round. She has to advance her barbell past that chalk line into the second box, and now exit through her name, make the right turn, and get started on her second 600-meter run.
Now, we just talked about what that grass is going to do for the overhead squat, but now her feet are a little wet and she's going for a run. Hopefully that moisture can kind of soak up here in the concrete before she has to go up the stairs. But that's another issue these athletes have to be aware of and thinking about. Some of the rookies are just thinking about the workout, and those little elements can cost them if they forget about those other little things.
Natalie McLean is out front in lane 6 as Tiffany Hendrickson. She is now exiting her lane and starting her second 600-meter run.
So Nancy, the workout these girls are all used to seeing is actually 5 rounds. And we see here she's walking up the stairs, McLean. Not a bad strategy. She knows she's ahead. And that's those stairs. The second round is always the round where you really start to feel how the workout's going to affect you and what it really truly feels like. Regular Nancy, typical Nancy, is a 5-round workout of 400 meters and then 15 overhead squats at 30 pounds less, at 65 pounds for overhead squats. So the women are using a heavier bar. They're doing 10 more reps, and they're going 200 meters farther with an incline, but they're doing one last round.
Natalie McLean starting to make her descent on her second 600-meter run off of that berm. It's a 60-foot altitude gain up those stairs and up and over the berm. And McLean on the downside of that run as we are past the 5-minute mark. This first of 2 heats for the women. 4 total rounds of the 600-meter run, and then the 25 overhead squats at 95 pounds.
Getting ahead early really does pay off. She was in the early lane. She's in the 3rd lane, so it's very strong for her to feel like you're ahead and keep the lead. Some people prefer that. Some people like to chase and be behind and just pick people off along the way. But for Natalie, she's doing a great job leading.
Natalie McLean started training in CrossFit in 2009 when she found out about it at a local rock climbing gym. So in just 4 years, she's gone from not training in CrossFit to getting herself here to Carson, California.
She does all types of outdoor sports: rock climbing, dirt biking, skateboard, snowboard. Here's some more athletes struggling on the steps. You can see Gretchen Kittelberger's a little out of breath there. You have to remember, we're about 24 hours since they did that burden run, which was the 2-mile run. But remember, at the very end of it, it was that heavy sled that they were dragging. We saw what that wreaked havoc on their calves, on their feet. We saw what it did to their hamstrings. They're feeling that as they go up the stairs. Their posterior chain is saying, I remember what we did yesterday.
Holly Mata, Nicole Tainatongo, and Gretchen Kittelberger now reaching the apex of that berm at the back of the soccer stadium here at the StubHub Center, and now working their way down. Meanwhile, Natalie McLean is back to the barbell. McLean saw a significant drop in her 600-meter time. She did it in 2:34 the first time, 3:15 the second time, and now she's through 4 overhead squats. Second place, it's Tiffany Hendrickson right now as she makes her way back to her lane. Hendrickson was a former collegiate gymnast at Boise State. She works out of Wasatch CrossFit in Utah.
She also attended the 2011 Utah State Olympic Weightlifting Championships. So this barbell for her does not feel that heavy.
Natalie McLean is through 17 overhead squats. Tiffany Hendrickson is on her bar, as is Pip Malone out of Australia. Malone at the other end of the field. She's in lane 20, but it's Natalie McLean in the yellow shirt on the right. Pip Malone is on the left. She currently sits in third place. Tiffany Hendrickson is in second. And now Natalie McLean is through 25. She'll advance her barbell into that third box, exit straight through her name, and then make the right turn and start on her third 600-meter run.
As I was guessing, the women's strategy here is to hold that bar, straight set it is what we call straight set those 25 reps. Don't put the bar down between reps so that you can be as efficient there, save as much time, and then on that run, be smart. Walk the stairs, kind of get yourself back, and then use that downhill as a slight recovery. Let your legs kind of just fall behind you so that when you get back to that bar, you can hold on for all 25 reps.
Natalie McLean was about 20 seconds slower on her second round of 25 overhead squats. She did the first set in 56 seconds. She did the second set in 1:13. So the 600-meter run taking its toll on these women before they get to the barbell.
Overhead squats and runs. Anyone that has done Nancy knows you're doing overhead squats and you're breathing hard. Typically with an overhead squat, you stabilize, you hold your breath, you stay real tight in the bottom, but you need to learn how to stabilize your core and your low back while you're breathing hard. And this is 30 more pounds than what that workout is.
On the left, Natalie McLean. On the right, the battle for second place. Tiffany Hendrickson leading Pip Malone. Hendrickson in the pink, but now Pip Malone is gaining distance. So remember, every woman has the same distance to run here, so it's a little difficult to tell sometimes on the run who's in front. We can tell when they make the final turn and head back to their barbells, but it's Natalie McLean who started in first place, and she remains there as we're past the 9.5-minute mark. Camila Blanc-Bazinet is on her third 600-meter run, and she needs to really start racking up some points here if she wants to start moving up the leaderboard. We're through 7 events. We'll have 2 more events today and then 3 more tomorrow. 12 total scored events here at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games as we hit the 10-minute mark, and Natalie McLean staying in the lead for the women.
Another element to this event that I really like is that there's 22 women right here, a big group. They're not working in just groups of 12, so you really get to see where you are with the rest of the pack. There's more energy there. There's a lot more that feeling of like when you're ahead, it's great. There's so many people trying to chase you. You really, there's just a different feel with this big numbers here in this heat.
Natalie McLean working her way back down the stairs, and she will start her third set of 25 overhead squats after she gets back to her barbell. We still have a few women left on their second sets, and Kristen Clever is one of them.
You can see Natalie's speed is just so different than the rest of the women. The rest of the women just look banged up. Really, the way they're running, they look like their legs are hurting. They did a lot yesterday. Those sprints took a lot out of their hamstrings as well.
Natalie McLean shaking out the arms, getting ready to get back to her barbell. She'll make the right turn and then start on her third of 4 sets of 25 overhead squats. We're past the 11-minute mark. This is the first of 2 heats here for the women in Naughty Nancy, the 7th of 12 scored events at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. And Natalie McLean, currently your leader, heading back to her lane. She's in lane 5. She'll pick up the barbell and then do 25 overhead squats.
I have to say, with some of the names in this heat, I'm very surprised to see Natalie McLean coming out on top right here.
McLean chalking her hands and then will walk to her barbell. Second place, it's Tiffany Hendrickson and Pip Malone in the white right behind her. And they have a chance to gain some ground on Natalie McLean if they can get through those overhead squats rather quickly. Michelle Latondra in the black top in 4th place right now, making her way back to her barbell. Now Pip Malone has passed Tiffany Hendrickson, but again, it's a matter of who gets back to her barbell first. So Natalie McLean through 12 overhead squats now. Her time on that 3rd run, 3 minutes 30 seconds. A minute slower than her first run. So Natalie McLean slowing here, but still maintaining the lead, as she is now through 19 overhead squats and taking a break. Pip Malone has just picked up the bar. Malone is through 5, and now Tiffany Hendrickson on the left of your screen, right next to McLean, is currently in 3rd place.
McLean's highest finish so far in the games has been 25th place, and that was in the burden run. So this event is going to help her tremendously.
Just a couple more reps for Natalie McLean. She is done with round 3, moving her barbell to the box, signifying her 4th round, and now she will start on her final 600-meter run. And Natalie McLean keeping a great pace on those 25 overhead squats in round 3. She only lost about 11 seconds between rounds 3 and round 4, so staying very consistent on that barbell. Pip Malone is now through 20, Tiffany Hendrickson through 17. But Natalie McLean is opening up a big lead on the rest of the field here in the first of 2 heats in Naughty Nancy, the 7th of 12 scored events at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. Second place, Pip Malone. She is done with her overhead squats, heads back out through her nameplate. Tiffany Hendrickson is done as well, so the two of them are neck and neck. Malone will have a shorter distance to travel back to her barbell when she makes that final turn than Tiffany Hendrickson. Meanwhile, Natalie McLean is getting ready to lap Carla Nunez da Costa, the oldest competitor in the field, and the two of them both walking now up the stairs, saving their legs, especially Natalie McLean saving her legs for that final set of overhead squats and then that final run to the finish line.
Well, there's always a little burst of adrenaline when you know you can pass someone, and you even saw McLean right there just pick it up a little bit just to get past Carla.
Natalie McLean smartly looking behind her to see where her fellow competitors are, to see how much more rest she could take. Now she decides to step on the gas a little bit and make her way up that 60-foot berm.
At this point, she's probably thinking about the next heat. She's not only competing against these women here, she has a whole another set of 21 women that are about to compete, and that's going to be our faster heat, Sean, and she knows that.
Natalie McLean now on her way down from that berm at about the halfway point of her final 600-meter run as we're approaching the 15-minute mark here. Tiffany Hendrickson trying to chase down McLean. She currently sits in second place and battling with Pip Malone for that spot.
Mentally, the last round is the best round, though. You know it is one more thing and you're done. This is their last round of running, then they're done with that. One more round of those overhead squats, then they're done. And it's off to the sprint to the finish line, and they know they can rest.
Tiffany Hendrickson has stayed pretty consistent in her 600-meter runs. She just exited the right side of your screen. Behind her, who is also battling for second place, was Pip Malone. And then behind Malone, out of the Canada East region in the black top, that's Michelle Latondra.
And Michelle is a way of coming back and really putting that pressure on and just creeping her way, staying consistent in her workouts and moving her way up the ranks in these events.
Natalie McLean now on the far side of the soccer stadium here at the StubHub Center. She has a right turn before she returns to her barbell. She'll have 25 overhead squats and then a sprint to the finish line to close out her event. As we are now approaching the 16-minute mark, there's a 20-minute time cap to this event. Natalie McLean just 25 overhead squats at 95 pounds to go. Tiffany Hendrickson making her way down the stairs. She currently sits in second place along with Pip Malone. and Michelle Letendre is trying to chase those two down as well.
I anticipate us seeing a lot different overhead squats here in this last round than we did our first round. We know it's taken her much longer each round. She'll probably try to straight set if she can because it's the final round. She doesn't have to hold up any energy. But we're going to see some instability probably in her shoulders, and watch the bottom of her squat. Just to watch a little bit of shakiness and a little bit of suffering in the bottom, some instability.
That's Michelle Crawford, who is walking gingerly up those stairs. And now Natalie McLean on her final set of 25 overhead squats, and she was very consistent on runs 3 and runs 4. Just a 2-second difference between both of those 600-meter journeys. And now
you can see as she comes up, she's losing her footing there, just in her toes slightly, the weight's forward. It's 95 pounds, she keeps resetting her feet, still moving. You can see no reps, she didn't stand all the way up or didn't get that full depth. Her hip crease has to go below her knee on every repetition, and she has to stand all the way up so that her hip opens. Or her joints stand up, fully unlocked position as she's standing tall.
Natalie McLean through 16, taking a break, walking away from the bar. Right next to her is Tiffany Hendrickson. She is currently battling Pip Malone on the right side of your screen for second place. Natalie McLean is back on the bar. Now Hendrickson Malone starting to close the gap. McLean is back on the bar. She's through 18, now 19. 5 more to go for Natalie McLean as she tries to lock up the first place here in the first heat of Naughty Nancy. She's holding off Hendrickson and Malone.
She's fighting. She does not want to put it down.
She is done, and now she takes off for the finish line. Natalie McLean is going to get the win here in heat number 1. McLean coming in. She will finish with a time of 18:11.1, and now it's Tiffany Hendrickson taking off for the finish line. So Hendrickson finishing in second place in this heat. She will come across the finish line with a time of 18:25.5, and now Pip Malone out of Australia on the far end of the field. Malone will finish third. Malone across the finish line at a final time of 18:34.6.
In a heat filled with past games veterans, even a past games champ, we see 3 rookies taking the first, second, third place in this heat.
And now Michelle Letendre in 4th place. She's the only woman on her sprint to the finish line right now. Remember, a 20-minute time cap. There is a 1-second penalty for every rep you don't complete, and that run to the finish line counts as a rep. Michelle Letendre just under 19 minutes, 18:56.9. Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet, 1 more rep to go for her, and she's going to get in inside the 20-minute time cap. Bazinet has the bar down, and she will make the run to the finish line. So Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet in lane 17, making that final run to the finish line. So Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet is across, and she is done. A time of 19:24.3. 30 seconds to go before we hit the 20-minute time cap here in the first of 2 heats of the women's Naughty Nancy event, the 7th of 12 scored events at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. Danielle Horan, 15 seconds to get to the finish line, and now it becomes a sprint for Horan, and she will make it. Horan is in underneath the time cap with just a few seconds to spare. So Danielle Horan, 19:51.3. So just
Nice finish.
6 women inside the time cap here.
She went all the way down. She sprinted. She said, I worked this hard. I'm going to make this under the time cap. Your heart starts to race when you hear that 1-minute call.
Natalie McLean, your top finisher in the first heat, 18:11.1, and Tiffany Hendrickson and Pip Malone rounding out the top 3. So 3 newcomers in this heat find themselves at the top. Natalie McLean hoping she can hang on to that top spot and earn herself 100 points and $3,000, but in third it was the Australian Pip Malone.
You know, it really looked like the women that were closer to the end here or closer to the beginning, the starting line, were able to keep their pace, keep their front position as it felt like they had. Pip Malone stayed nice and strong on her overhead squats.
Then in second place, Tiffany Hendrickson, who is extremely consistent, especially on those 600-meter runs.
Her runs look strong. kept breathing, was smart about her recovery on the way on the downhills, was able to regain her energy and her breath for those overhead squats.
Just a 6-second difference between her second run and her fourth. But in first, Natalie McLean, she was out front early. Didn't know if she was officially in the lead, but it turns out she was, and she stayed there the entire event.
She set the bar high for herself. She went out at blazing speed. As a rookie, I wasn't sure if she was going to be able to hold on to it, but she sure did. Pushed the girls behind her. Form started to break down a little bit at the end, but she was just happy to be done. When you lap someone, always a good feeling for the person who's lapping, and she was able to finish up strong with only one break.
Then she had that one no rep there on that final set, but it didn't matter. Natalie McLean with a first place finish here in the first of 2 heats for Naughty Nancy, and we will get reset for heat number 2, but here are the overall standings. After heat 1, it's Natalie McLean, your time to beat at 18:11.1. She was one of 6 women to get in inside the 20-minute time cap. Camila Blanc-Bazinet was one of them, as was Danielle Horan. 24 women will take part in this second heat, the second and final heat of Naughty Nancy. Overall standings coming into this event, and it's Christy Phillips who was able to take the lead last night in the tennis stadium by just 4 points over Samantha Briggs, and then rookie Alessandra Pacelli currently sitting in 3rd place, but still well within striking distance of that top spot, as are Anna Tunnicliffe, Rory Zambard, and then Lindsay Valenzuela currently sitting in 6th place. And we have yet to hit the events that are in her wheelhouse.
We have a lot of strong athletes coming up in this heat. They just got a chance to watch the event. They saw what happened. Of course, form is going to break down as you get farther into the workout. So that probably helped them strategize just a little bit more on what they're going to do and how they're going to attack this workout.
For the first time since we've been at the StubHub Center for the CrossFit Games, we are holding events inside the soccer stadium. And just to give you some perspective on how big the games have gotten, if you took one little section here and go back to 2007, that's about the amount of fans who attended the first CrossFit Games in 2007.
Probably the fans and the athletes combined, because the athletes always sat out in the crowd and they cheered. They were part of the fans when they weren't competing.
We expect more than 24,000 people to attend the games this weekend. We had a capacity crowd on hand last night at the tennis stadium, and the soccer stadium continues to fill up as more and more fans begin to trickle in. Your starting lanes for the second heat, and right in the middle, in lane number 12 is your leader, Christy Phillips. Next to her, Alessandra Pacelli and Sam Briggs, but we also have a couple of women in here who can handle big weight. Lindsay Valenzuela in lane 15, and also Elizabeth Akinwale in lane number 2. These women can overhead squat a lot of poundage.
These women can move a lot of weight. They know how to move a barbell. They know where to breathe. They're seasoned veterans. They already got a chance to watch. Elizabeth Akinwale hit 195 for 2 reps in her overhead squats in our regional. And this weight's going to be a lot less than that.
And there's Lindsay Valenzuela, the other woman who is extremely proficient with anything involving a barbell.
She hit 205 for her overhead squats for 3 reps in the regional.
That was the event record for Lindsay Valenzuela. So heat 2 of Naughty Nancy, the time to beat 18 minutes, 11.1 seconds. We are underway, the first 600-meter run, 4 rounds, 600-meter run, and then 4 overhead squats at 95 pounds. Natalie McLean has your time to beat at 18 minutes, 11.1 seconds. 20-minute time cap to this event. A full field, 24 athletes in this second heat.
I already love what I'm seeing. The difference between heat 1 and heat 2, these women are getting after it on the first run. There's no chance they're going to keep this pace on the later rounds, but this first round is crucial. Psychologically, they need to get back to their bar first, and if you're in the back, every person you pass, you know you're ahead of.
Lindy Wall is the first woman to the stairs, but she did start in lane number 1, so she had the shortest distance to travel before she got to the berm, and now she starts her ascent up that 60-foot incline.
We saw with McLean, if you can get out early and stay ahead, there is absolutely an advantage to getting back to your bar first.
All these women have the exact same distance to run, so we will find out who is in the lead once they get back to their barbells, and that is Sam Briggs in the white, who just exited the right side of your screen. Briggs currently in second place overall, and she's working out in lane 13, so Briggs has been able to make up some ground very fast.
Similarly to yesterday, Briggs is a great athlete. She is a strong athlete, but her technique is just not always there. As we saw with the pig yesterday, her back rounds, her form kind of breaks down. Overhead squats are a very difficult movement. You need to have flexibility. You need to have core strength. There's a lot of things involved with an overhead squat. The women make it look very easy, but we're going to see some form differences in techniques that's going to really fatigue some of the women.
The entire field is now up and over that berm, and they are starting their descent down the backside of that and on the stairs. And here comes Lindy Wall. She is in lane 1, so she will have the furthest distance to travel once she makes that right turn to return to her barbell. Remember, this is unlike the Burton run where it was first come, first serve. You actually have to exit and return to your lane every single time.
But we saw what that placement from McLean was like, and already Lindy Wall, she's a fast athlete. We saw her sprint yesterday. She was incredible going around those pylons. This is a straight shot run.
Lindy Wall is the first one to hit that final straightaway, but she has to run all the way to the other end of the field. Behind her is Sam Briggs, and Briggs is just a couple lanes away from hers. And then in lane 17 is Kalina Ladares, who's on her bar first. So Kalina Ladares is out front. Sam Briggs on her bar. Christy Phillips is back as well. Lindy Wall putting the belt on in lane number 1. Phillips well represented here in the crowd. She is a Games veteran and currently sits in first place overall. Right now, Kalina Ladares is through 7 reps.
I watched Kalina Ladares from the Northeast Regional. She's a strong athlete. She pushes through anything, but similar to Sam Briggs, her technique and her form isn't always there. You can see how her knees are kind of caving in. Her hips are tight. She doesn't have the best technique and form, but she pushes through anyway.
Ladares is through 18 reps. Behind her, Sam Briggs through 15, and Anna Tunnicliffe and Lindsay Valenzuela are there as well.
You can see her getting no rep. That is because her hips are not going low enough. Again, that comes down to technique. Miss reps are, it's terrible to miss reps. Waste energy and waste time.
Ladares is done, so she is out in front. Kalina Ladares got through those overhead squats just more than a minute, 102.5 seconds for her. She's trying to chase down Natalie McLean, who has the time to beat at 18 minutes, 11.1 seconds. More and more women finishing up their set of 25 overhead squats. Michelle Kinney, she is one of them. Jennifer Smith, Lindsay Valenzuela, Sam Briggs. They are all on their second 600-meter run. Stacy Tovar, Telena Fortunato, Ruth Anderson Horrell. All of them on that initial straightaway of their 600-meter run. Christy Phillips, the overall leader, just finishing her second set, or first set, pardon me, of overhead squats at 95 pounds.
Think back to last year, Sean. We saw Christy Phillips. She struggled with the overhead squats in that chipper event. The weight for that barbell was 105 pounds, and they only had to do 20 reps, and she struggled on that second set of 10.
Michelle Kinney making her way up the stairs. Sam Briggs next to her, and Briggs passing Michelle Kinney. So Sam Briggs going to make up some room on this run. Meanwhile, Kalina Ladares continues to be out front. She is your leader as she is now up and now over that berm as she starts her descent down the backside.
So heat 2 and 3, this is where you're going to see some separation. This is where you're going to see athletes kind of either break down, slow down a little bit, or where they're going to make their moves. If they were consistent in that first round and can stay consistent in the second round and they have enough energy, they'll kind of pull ahead and try to make their move in round 3.
Every woman is now on her second 600-meter run. That's a 60-foot incline or 60-foot altitude gain from the base of the StubHub Center Soccer Stadium to the top of that berm. And now Kalina Ladares making her way down the stairs and to the back straightaway before she makes the right turn and returns to her barbell for her second set of overhead squats at 95 pounds. The time to beat belongs to Natalie McLean. 18:11.1 seconds, a 20-minute time cap on this 7th of 12 scored events here for the women at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. And Kalina Ladares now making her way down the back straightaway, makes the right turn, and she will head back to her barbell.
She likes long distance. She can go the distance. She can push through. She's a marathon runner. It's just going to be the form for her. If she makes those mistakes and other athletes can capitalize on them and hold the bar straight set without making up any mistakes and getting any misreps, that's where the other athletes are going to be able to make up their ground.
Kalina Ladares back on the barbell, and she only lost about 22 seconds between her first and second run. She did the second one in 2:57.5, and now through 2 overhead squats, and she just got no reps. Samantha Briggs, she is back to her barbell. She currently sits in second place. Michelle Kinney moving back to lane number 3. She is in third.
And Sam is looking strong here. Her technique does not look that bad here. Looks nice and controlled. Looks good and stable. Here's the difference. Look at the knee difference. Look at the placement of the knees. As Kalina starts to stand up, she's just unable to keep her knees driving out, which is a really strong. It actually uses more of your hamstrings and your glutes, allows you to use more muscles to stand up and squat.
Kalina Ladares is through 21 reps. Sam Briggs behind her is through 14, so Ladares hanging on to a lead over Samantha Briggs as Briggs goes to the chalk bucket. Kalina Ladares is closing out her second set. Ladares now back through her number, making the right turn, and this is run number 3 for your leader, Kalina Ladares, who only took 2 more seconds on her second set than she did on her first. So she is extremely consistent here through her first 2 rounds. 8 minutes now have gone by here in the second and final heat of Naughty Nancy. Natalie McLean has the best time so far, 18 minutes 11.1 seconds, and there's Christy Phillips, her overall leader, coming into this event.
You can see today she has to do 100 reps at 95 pounds. You can see the difference where Christy's struggling a little bit more than Kalina. She actually has to clean the weight up to her chest, push press it or pop it over to her back, and then set herself to get in that overhead squat position. The other girls can just snatch the weight right up overhead and get started.
Christy Phillips finished 28th in that event last year, so this is not her event. She is towards the back of this heat. Now it's just about damage control for Christy Phillips, as Sam Briggs has a big enough lead on her that she can erase that lead that Christy Phillips brought in to this 7th event. So Sam Briggs could very well, if she holds on to second place here, wind up back on top of the leaderboard. There's your overall leader, Kalina Ladares.
I'm anxious to see if Christy comes sprinting out of the gates here when she's finished these overhead squats. She has to if she wants to close any of that distance that Sam just separated.
Ladares taking a look to her right as she is the leader in this event right now and making her way up that berm. She knows she has a little bit of time to rest here as Sam Briggs is trying to chase her down, and now Ladares picking up her pace as she makes her way to the top of that berm. This is the 3rd round for Ladares. 1 more round after this, but so far Kalina Ladares has been extremely consistent in her time. She did the first run in 2:35, the second one in 2:57, but both times she's been on the barbell, just a 2-second difference there.
That's incredible. It really is. You always feel so much more tired and fatigued round 2.
Approaching the halfway point of the second of 2 heats here in event 7. Naughty Nancy, and now Christy Phillips is on her 3rd 600-meter run, as is Elizabeth Akinwale. 10 minutes have gone by here. The time to beat, 18:11.1. That belongs to Natalie McLean. And currently, another rookie is chasing that down. That is Kalina Ladares on the bottom left of your screen, trotting down those stairs to the floor here at the soccer stadium at the StubHub Center. She'll be on that back straightaway for a while, and then it's that final right turn.
And she looks comfortable. She doesn't look like she's struggling. She's keeping that speed. She has that runner speed. She looks like she's a marathon runner. It's just go, go, go. 1 foot in front of the next. Doesn't have that little hitch in her step like some of the others.
There's Lindy Wall in lane number 1, still on her 2nd round of overhead squats at 95 pounds. Remember, Lindy has that back issue. That's why she's wearing the belt. And she is slowing down here. 5 reps to go for Lindy Wall. She has fallen well behind the rest of the pack.
But from a world standpoint, from just a basic everyday standpoint, how impressive. Broken back, told she'd never even back squat, an easier squat. But you know, she's overhead squatting right now. We can't forget that.
Now Kalina Ladares is returning to her barbell, but Sam Briggs is right behind her. Briggs is almost back to her lane. Ladares immediately back on the barbell. Sam Briggs shaking out her arms, and it's Ladares who's still trying to hang on to that lead. Sam Briggs now on the barbell.
That's 2 no reps though for Ladares, and that's not good.
Sam Briggs has a chance to catch up to Ladares here. She's just 4 reps behind her.
It's going to be interesting side by side if Sam still chooses to break up these reps.
9 reps down for Ladares, 7 for Briggs. So Samantha Briggs is closing the gap on Kalina Ladares.
And Sean, she was 2 seconds faster on that run than she was the previous round.
Sam Briggs actually picking up speed. She has a rabbit to chase, and that woman is to her right on the field. She's on the left of your screen. Kalina Ladares, the leader, but now Briggs has the bar down. She's going back to the chalk bucket, and now Ladares opening her lead back up. And Briggs is also chasing Christy Phillips. That's the more important race in the overall standings, and if Briggs can keep herself in this position, very likely that she will lock up a second-place finish in this event and then move back into first overall. Ladares is done. Her final 600-meter run. So Kalina Ladares took 1:10 on those overhead squats. She took 1:02 on her first set.
Still incredible timing. It's paying off that she's straight setting. We talk about a lot of times about straight setting a bar. Hold that barbell. Don't break sets. And if you can, it always pays off.
Kalina Ladares is on pace to beat Natalie McLean's time of 18:11.1. Sam Briggs is done with her overhead squats, and Briggs will try to chase down Kalina Ladares. But more importantly, for the bigger picture for Sam Briggs, she just needs to stay in second place and stay ahead of Christy Phillips, who is now returning for her 3rd round of overhead squats.
If I were Sam Briggs, I would move that chalk bucket with me. When she went to the chalk bucket, she should have brought it back to her barbell, because if she's already knows she's going to break up her last set, she has to walk all that distance back to the chalk bucket.
Kalina Ladares up those stairs for the final time, her 4th round. Here in event 7, Naughty Nancy. We're past the halfway point now of the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games, 12 total events. In second place, it's Sam Briggs in the white. Behind her, in third, Michelle Kinney out of the Central East region.
And Michelle Kinney's not afraid to put the pressure on. She sees Sam Briggs and just wants to keep her in her sights.
Briggs working her way up those stairs, slowing down a bit. We've seen some people just slow to a walk, but Briggs keeping up a trot here. And now she'll work her way up that berm at the back here of the soccer stadium at the StubHub Center. Kalina Ladares, though, continues to be your leader, the rookie. Ladares actually tied with Sam Briggs in row number 1 on Wednesday. The first 2,000 meters of that row, the 2 of them were neck and neck. Ladares was 3rd in the Northeast region. She had 2 victories there and 2 second-place finishes in 7 events. More women working their way up that berm as we approach the 15-minute mark here. 5 minutes to go after that until we hit the 20-minute time cap. But there's your leader, Kalina Ladares, down the stairs for a final time. Left turn down that back straightaway, and then she will return to her barbell for her 4th and final set of overhead squats at 95 pounds. She needs to complete 25 of those and then sprint to the finish line. Sam Briggs at the top of your screen making her way down the steps, trying to chase down Kalina Ladares, but Sam Briggs setting herself up very nicely for a return to the top of the overall leaderboard.
Again, we always talk about consistency with Sam Briggs. Just stay near the top. Keep yourself up there. Don't hurt yourself in this event. There's still plenty more to go. 2 more events for the day. She doesn't know what the evening event is going to be.
Here comes Kalina Ladares now on the final stretch of her last 600-meter run. 25 more overhead squats stand between her and a first-place finish in event number 7. The time to beat 18:11, and that is very much in jeopardy here as Kalina Ladares is back on the bar. Here comes Sam Briggs, who currently sits in second place.
Now, if Sam Briggs ever is going to do it, it's going to be now that she's going to straight set. She had to break the previous rounds, but there's no more running. There's a sprint. You can do that no matter how tired you are. The smart thing to do would be to hold on for all 25 right here.
Kalina Ladares is already through 10 reps, and Sam Briggs getting to work on her final set of 25. Remember, the ladies need to put this barbell down, and then they need to run to the finish line. So Sam Briggs can make up some ground here. Maybe it's a sprint to the finish, but Ladares is showing no signs of slowing down as she is now through 18 reps, now 19. Kalina Ladares with a first place finish in her sights as she looks to go unbroken here on her final set. Briggs has the bar down, and that's going to clear the way for Kalina Ladares. One more rep to go for her. She's done. The bar is down, and Ladares sprinting her way towards a first place finish here in event number 7.
Smiling the whole way. I'm very impressed. Although her technique is not spot on, it doesn't matter for her. She's still able to push through. It doesn't affect her.
16:46 for Kalina Ladares, and now Sam Briggs. 5 reps to go for the woman from Manchester, England. Briggs hanging on, form breaking down a little bit, but she's not going to put that bar down. Briggs is done, and she will make her fun. No, she has one more rep to go. Her judge called her back for a second, but now Briggs making the run to the finish line. So Sam Briggs will finish second in this event. She'll earn 95 points, and she will move ahead of Christy Phillips in the overall standings, back into the top spot, and she collapses across the finish line.
That took a lot out of her. It sure did. 95 pounds for those overhead squats is 100.
Now it's a race for third. It's Michelle Kinney and Valerie Voboril. Here's that final sprint. And it's going to be Valerie Voboril by 0.2 of a second. Ruth Anderson-Horrell is in as well. So Valerie Voboril and Michelle Kinney giving the fans some excitement here on that final sprint.
Ooh, well, that was what we were hoping for, and we got to see it. Very strong push from Val Voboril. I don't know where she came from. Michelle Kinney, I didn't even see her behind Michelle Kinney.
That is typical Valerie Voboril. She just kind of hangs out, and then the next thing you know, she's finishing towards the top of the pack. That is Anna Tunnicliffe coming across the finish line. So Anna Tunnicliffe, she is in with a time of 18:24.1 seconds. And now Jen Jones, who ran away with the South Central Regional, is now running towards the finish line. So Jen Jones will make it inside the time cap as well, with plenty of time to spare. Jen Jones, 18:37.5. And now another race to the finish line as more and more women wrapping it up here. It was Becca Voigt beating out Rory Zambard by more than a second there. Now Stacy Tovar is coming across the finish line. Stacy Tovar is in. She closes out with a time of 18:53.5. Alessandra Pacelli, who came in third place overall, is done. Emily Friedman is in. Lindsay Valenzuela is done. So a lot of women here in the second heat making it inside the 20-minute time cap. In fact, the majority of the field is across. Now it's Cara Webb. She finishes up with a time of 19:12.6 seconds. 40 seconds to go before we hit the 20-minute time cap.
And here we see Elizabeth Akinwale, a surprise to us. We know this weight is like a feather to her. But again, Sean, we're here to find the fittest. That doesn't mean it's necessarily just the strongest athlete. You need to have the work capacity and lung capacity to move lightweight fast and move yourself fast.
Meanwhile, Katrine Davidsdottir just edged out Jen Smith in a race to the finish. Davidsdottir a time of 19:35.7 and Jen Smith 19:38.4. Christy Phillips came in your overall lead, but she is losing ground here, and we talked about her form in that overhead squat. You see it breaking down right there.
Such a shame. She got stronger. She said every year she's gotten stronger, and I was really hoping that she had worked on those overhead squats. 95 for her. It's such a shame that it looks like it's that much of a struggle. Still, heavyweight. These girls make it look really, really easy.
Katrine Davidsdottir signing her scorecard flat on her back, but Christy Phillips will fall out of first place. Now it's a question of just how far, as she does not make it inside the 20-minute time cap. Kalina Ladares certainly did, and she is the winner of event 7, 16:46. Sam Briggs will get 95 points and move herself back to the top of the leaderboard with that finish, and then Valerie Voboril finishing third. The third place was a race to the finisher, and Valerie Voelberl in the yellow just edging out Michelle Kinney.
She just booked her all the way to the end. Michelle Kinney probably didn't even see her.
Kinney crashing into that pad there at the end of the stands, but it's Valerie Voelberl, the great comeback, locking up third place. In second, it was Sam Briggs, who was towards the front all event long.
And it was the breaking of the overhead squats here for Sam was the reason she just couldn't catch Kalina.
But she did what she needed to do. She finished towards the top, and she gets herself back on top of the overall leaderboard after 7 events. And then finally in first place, the rookie, another one who's for real, Kalina Ladares.
The rookie with a fight. She was not going to put that barbell down no matter how many times she got no reps.
She fought through it, and she was extremely consistent on the run.
As well as efficient, and efficient running definitely conserves energy.
So Kalina Ladares locking up 100 points and $3,000 as she wins event number 7. Naughty Nancy dropping the bar, and then no competition as she sprinted towards the finish line, and she surpassed the time to beat by about 30 seconds.
And that gives her her 3rd first place finish of the games. Tremendous start here. I guess halfway point here for the CrossFit Games.
Kalina Ladares, the thumbs up as she recovers. Event 7 is history for the women. 12 scored events for them here at the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games. On the right is the soccer stadium. That's where we are this morning. On the left, we'll move in to the tennis stadium. And now the top 3 finishers discussing strategy and going over their workouts. The women have dealt with Naughty Nancy. Natty McCain had a lead, but it was Kalina Ladares who was able to chase her down. The men are up next. Stay with us. Live coverage of the 2013 Reebok CrossFit Games continues.